Hi, hello, welcome to my YouTube channel, or welcome back if you're a real one. Today I figured I'd tell you all the movies I watched in 2024, and there's a lot of them. There's 105. That's not a normal amount, I don't think. So like, don't judge me too heavily on that. This is now my third time trying to record this video. The first time I got lazy and didn't want to edit it, so I just wiped the whole thing completely. The second time I filmed quite literally yesterday, and I had an hour and 20 minutes worth of content, and I put it into my editing app, and you know what? I closed my editing app for count it, 1 minute to chat with my friends because I was in the middle of texting them. And I come back and I open the app and it's completely gone. No sound, no video, just like a black screen for 120 minutes, and an hour and 20 minutes, and I was like, this really makes me so very happy. Actually, I am ecstatic, in case you can't tell. Basically, how I'm going to divide this up is I'm going to tell you month by month what I watched, and I'm gonna like tell you my star rating and you know how I felt about the movie and if I still stand on the star rating. 9 times out of 10 the answer is gonna be no. So just get ready for a lot of ranting, and if that's something you like, consider subscribing and hitting the like button. Just kidding, you don't have to if you don't want to. Can I actually just cut my bangs because they were really annoying me badly. So I'm going to start with January, and the first movie of the year that I watched was Light Thereafter. Now what you're going to notice throughout January is there's going to be a lot of movies with one particular actor. And if you know anything about me, you're going to know which actor that is. It's Barry Keoghan. So Light Thereafter was actually like a really interesting movie. I'm kind of surprised that more people don't talk about it. The way you watch it is basically backwards. So the end of the main character's journey is basically the beginning of the movie, and vice versa. So the end of the movie is the beginning of the character's journey. I gave it 4.5 stars. It was very interesting. It was a little slow at first, but that's to be expected. The second movie of the year that I watched was Eternals. I give this 2.5 stars because it's just like an extremely basic superhero movie. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna lie. This movie kind of was not that great. This movie was pretty basic, and a lot of the character work was not working. Like, they just set up these characters to be a specific way, and then something in the plot happens, and then they just don't react the way that they were set up to react, which I think is very irritating and not good writing. But, you know, Barry Keoghan was in it, so I felt obligated to give it at least 2 stars. And then the third movie that I watched, it wasn't really a movie, it was like 9 minutes long or something, but it's on Letterboxd, so that's why. Was The Making of Eternals. Basically just behind the scene clips. I didn't rate it because it's just behind the scene clips, like. And then the fourth movie I watched, also not a movie, and it was a short film. There's a lot of short films I watched this year because Barry Keoghan was in a lot of short films before he was in like full feature-length movies. So I'm just gonna like, yeah, the next 2 movies, so movie 4 and movie 5, were both short films. Candy Floss, which I didn't rate because it was like 5 minutes long, and then North, which I did rate, which is kind of rare for me, for like short film wise, because it was just like really touching, and I felt like really moved, and I had like a strong emotional reaction to it, so I felt like it deserved to be rated, and I rated it 4.5 stars. And then the 6th movie I watched was Banshees of Inisherin. I hated this movie, actually. I'm not even gonna lie. People love this movie. Good on them. Proud of you if you like this movie. I don't get it, which is a lot coming from me as someone who is a self-proclaimed cinephile. Someone who consistently watches boring movies and enjoys them. Like, just watched Gendarme for my film course because I'm a film major. Who is surprised? Who is surprised that the Letterboxd user is a film major? Not me. But this movie, I felt bad for not liking it, so I gave it 3.5 stars. I would redact that by like a star. I would give it 2.5 stars because I was not bothered. I could not be freaked to enjoy this movie at all. Like, at all. And then the movie after that was Calm with Horses. They're so Irish in this movie. Like, they're so Irish. I can't understand a thing they're saying, love. I can't do it. Can't understand. I gave it 4 stars, which is surprising considering I have no idea what was happening throughout the entirety of the movie. But, like, I was emotional by the end, so, like, I must have understood a good bit of it, I guess. Couldn't tell you a singular name of any character at all. But, you know what? So it goes, I suppose. The 8th movie I watched this year was Dunkirk, and I'm just gonna add a precursor. I'm not a fan of war movies. I don't care. Dunkirk was fine. I was not like a huge fan of it, and Barry Keoghan was not in it very much at all. He was in like probably all of 5 minutes. And then the next 2 movies I watched were also short films, For You and The Break, 3.5 and 3 stars respectively. They were fine. I was not in love with them, but they were interesting enough. They held my attention. I was emotionally connected to them in some way or form. I don't remember how the saying goes. Whatever. And then my 11th movie of the year was Dune. I did not rate this because I did not understand what was happening. I don't know what spice is. I don't know why it's important. I don't know who Zendaya was or why she was in only 5 minutes of the entire movie. I do know why she was so heavily involved with the promotion of this movie because she's Zendaya. But I'm like, that is so dishonest. Like, that's crazy. But yeah, I did not give this a rating because, like, why would I rate something I didn't understand? That's, like, purely a fault of my own. And then after that, I watched Stalker, and I watched this twice, but I didn't record the second time because I didn't know you could do that on Letterboxd until I watched a movie for a future reference that you'll notice. This movie, quite questionable. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I gave this movie 3.5 stars at the time of watching it. Don't agree with that. I would give it way lower. I would argue 2 stars, not 2.5, 2. Because it's that bad. Like, it's crazy how bad this movie is. But the movie I watched after Stalker was The Green Knight. This movie was fucking boring. I hated this movie. I didn't understand what was going on. I gave it 4 stars because, like, I could tell it was a good movie. I just didn't know what was happening. Like, I was confused. I was lost. Maybe it was because I was on my phone. Who knows? And then I watched Black 47. Couldn't tell you a single thing about this movie other than the fact that Barry Keoghan is in it and he dies. And I almost cried in school because of it. At least that's what I said in my Letterboxd review. I watched Archie's Final Project, this movie. Hopefully I'm putting the movie posters up here or else I'm gonna look really dumb. This movie, I love this movie so much. This is one of my favorite movies. It's on my top 4 of Letterboxd. It like means a lot to me as someone who was a pretentious schooler at the time of watching this my first time. And I feel like people don't get it. People, like, don't get the fact that it's supposed to be pretentious and it's supposed to be, like, lame. Anyways, I give this movie 4.5 stars. I watched this movie a lot. I watched this, like, at least 3 times in the year. Probably more because, again, I didn't know that you could rate a movie more than once and, like, keep your original rating. I don't know why I thought that was not possible, but I did. And then the last movie I watched in January, the 16th movie of the year, was Pirates of the Caribbean 1. I gave this movie 4 stars. I couldn't tell you why. I don't really like this movie. I don't really like pirate movies in general. I don't like Johnny Depp. I just, like, we were like in my poetry unit, and we watched like the opening for one of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. Let me watch the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. And I didn't realize that it was like the opening to the third one, so I was like, I have to watch 2 more. Going into February, I only watched 7 movies, which sounds like a lot, but for me, it's not at all. I started out my February with Pirates of the Caribbean 2 and 3, and I gave them 4 and 3.5 stars respectively. I know people love the third one for some reason, but like I couldn't be bothered to pay attention. So, and I think that's the one. And I think that's the one with the opening that I wanted to watch. So at that point, I just stopped because I didn't care. After Pirates of the Caribbean 2 and 3, I watched Sweeney Todd. I did not like this movie. I did not fuck with this movie. And I thought it was boring. And I thought the VFX were really bad. I'm sure they were impressive for the time. But, you know, we've moved on to bigger and better things. So, I gave this 3 stars because I wanted it to be nice. I wanted it to be kind. The next movie I watched was Poor Things. And let me tell you, I fucking hate this movie. Badly. I hate this movie. I hate this movie. I hate this movie. I hate that it was promoted as a feminist retelling of Frankenstein, even though Frankenstein is already a feminist story. Just because living character is not a woman does not mean it's not feminist. Never speak ill on Mary Shelley ever again. I just like I was reading Frankenstein at the time, so I was like deeply attached to the idea of Frankenstein, and I love Frankenstein. I love that book. I love like what it represents and what it means and what it's saying and who it's written by. Mary Shelley, my queen. So to hear like a movie that's about a woman who dies and then her brain is replaced with the baby's brain, and then she goes on to the rest of the story to reclaim her body through sex. I just don't think that makes sense at all. On to better things. Going up highly significantly, the next movie I watched was Good Will Hunting, and I liked this movie very much so. It's no Dead Poet Society, and I did set my expectations a wee bit too high because I went into it thinking, wow, I'm gonna love this movie. And, like, it was fine. I was not phenomenally obsessed with this movie. I thought it was good. I gave it 4 stars. It was a really good movie. And Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, I know what you are. The next movie after that I watched was Ocean Waves, which is the only Studio Ghibli movie I've watched ever. And people don't talk about this movie a lot. I don't really know why. I really like this movie. I gave it 4.5 stars. I thought it was really good, but the general consensus is that it's the weakest Studio Ghibli film, which I think is crazy. Is it the strongest? No, probably not. I've heard Grave of the Fireflies was really good. Not watched it, but I should. But, like, is it that bad? Like, I don't think so. I don't think so. The last movie of February, and you're gonna learn quickly why. It was the last movie of February. Because it was The Florida Project. I love this movie. I ended this movie and I like sobbed. Like, I was watching this movie the last 5 minutes of it and I was just crying throughout the whole thing. And it like took me like half an hour to calm down enough to like write a review for it. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. That's crazy. I love this movie. 5 stars. 5 stars. I love The Florida Projects. And then March is a bad month for me as a person. I hate March. Bad things always happen in March. Always. I've never gone through a March and have been happy. So, like, and you're gonna see that and it's gonna reflect heavily on that. Yes, indeed. So the first movie of March was Boy Interrupted, which is actually a documentary about a 15-year-old boy who commits. And I did cry like a lot. I gave this movie 5 stars. It was phenomenal, and people in the Letterboxd reviews are like, wow, such a shame that these people are profiting off of their kid's death. And I'm like, did you ever maybe consider they're just processing. Did you ever consider that they just want to reach out? Because I watched this movie and I felt seen and I felt like, hey. The movie I watched after Boy Interrupted was Stand By Me. This is the first River Phoenix movie that I've ever watched in my entire life. And the reason why was because I found out about Celebrity Number 6, which, when that was found out, quite frankly, I was heartbroken. Because in my head, that really was River Phoenix. It wasn't River Phoenix, it was like an Italian model, I think, or something like that. Like, I knew of River Phoenix, of course, and I was like, wow, what a beautiful man. Let me watch his movies. So, I watched Stand By Me, actually not knowing that River Phoenix was in this movie, and I was looking at the cast while on Letterboxd, and I was like, River Phoenix is in this movie, where is he at? And then I realized, like, he was the second main kid, and I was like, oh, that does not even look like him. I was, like, really in awe. But I give this movie 4 stars. It's good. I don't think about it very much, which is weird because it's kind of like just a movie that I would think about, but it's not. So, the next movie I watched was Running on Empty. Wow. This movie's really, really good. I like this movie quite a bit. I definitely liked it more than Stand By Me, even though I gave them the same rating, both 4 stars. But I feel like Running on Empty was much more interesting to me. And then the next movie I watched, the 4th movie of March, was My Own Private Idaho. Oh my god. Like, do you know? Like, are you invested? I'm invested. My Own Private Idaho. I love this movie. This docuseries was ass, okay? It really did not provide anything new. We knew Nickelodeon was a horrible workplace. We knew Dan Snyder was a fucking freakazoid. We knew those children were not being treated correctly. Did we know that maybe one of the most prominent and important people to the Nickelodeon series was one of the victims? No, absolutely not. But, like, we knew of Brian Peck. And did we know about Wilfred L. and Ryder Strong supporting Brian Peck? No. I didn't know about it at the very least. But I will say, they did a podcast episode, like, covering that situation. And I would highly suggest you go watch it if that's something you're interested in. It's Pod Meets World. It, like, has the date on it. You should just be able to, like, search it up, hopefully. And I personally feel that Wilfred L. is obviously very sorry for what he did for supporting Brian Peck. And I'm not gonna say it, but I am gonna say, if you look at Ryder Strong's letter that he wrote in favor of Brian Peck, and you look at Drake Bell's recounting of how Brian Peck groomed him, I'm not saying what you think I'm saying. I'm saying that you should go explore that on your own and see what you think about it. But other than that, this movie was fucking ass. It completely shoves the fact that Drake Bell was sexting a 15-year-old in his 30s under the rug, which is disgusting and horrible and heinous. And repeating the cycle is a very real thing, and we should not ignore that in favor of just, like, only seeing this person as a victim, because you can be a victim and a bad person. We know this, okay? We've seen this many, many times. We just refuse to see things that are not black and white. But, anyways, let me get off my high horse. The movie I watched after the docuseries was Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. I love Kieran Culkin. I think he's so gorgeous. I think he's beautiful. And I love him so much. And I love you, Kieran Culkin. I wish he was in it more. I wish I saw him kiss boys more. I give Scott Pilgrim 3.5 stars. And then the last movie of the month I watched was She's the Man. I gave this 4 stars. This is the first time I've seen the movie in full. I am a chronic watcher of Dylan is in Trouble, so of course I know about this movie, and I know, like, basically the most important plot points. So, but it was interesting to watch it, like, in full for the first time, and I really enjoyed it, and I really truly do feel that if they just, like, kissed, if anyone kissed ever, this movie, like, a lot of the problems would have been solved. I truly believe that in my heart. On to April. You're gonna notice something about April, and you're gonna see it throughout the rest of the year. The movie of April that I watched was Donnie Darko. I love this movie. I love this movie. I love this movie. I love Jake Gyllenhaal. As we know. This movie is really good. Like, wow. Like, I feel you, Jacob Gyllenhaal. I feel you on a spiritual level. I gave Donnie Darko 5 stars, of course, and I think about it a lot. The next movie, the second movie I watched in April, crazy movie, Mysterious Skin. I've known about this movie since I was in middle school. I did not really understand, like, the full context of what this movie was about, and then I watched it, and I was like, say that to me again. Except don't. Because I was traumatized. Like, I was crying. Like, this is, like, one of the only movies, aside from, like, Poor Things, that I've, like, actually written a review on Letterboxd of. Like, there's no quippy holy shit. There's no quippy one-liner that you can say about this movie. At least in my opinion. Because, like, wow. Oh, that's a crazy movie. To lighten up the mood, I watched Kung Fu Panda 4, and you're gonna look at me and you're gonna go, Kung Fu Panda 4? Yes, Kung Fu Panda 4. As someone who has not watched Kung Fu Panda 1, 2, or 3, I thought this movie was ass. I gave it 2.5 stars. The dialogue was weird. The style was interesting. The plot was lame. I feel like nobody liked this movie. And you're looking at me and you're saying, why did you watch Kung Fu Panda 4 if you've not watched the other 3 movies? I raise you this. I was on a school field trip. I really did not have control over what movie we chose. I don't remember what other movies there were. I didn't want to watch Kung Fu Panda 2. I mean, I didn't want to watch Kung Fu Panda 4. But all the other movies were, like, R-rated. And my teacher was like, I don't want to take you guys to an R-rated movie. The movie after that, another jump up, I watched Brokeback Mountain. Oh my Jesus. I love this movie. I love Brokeback Mountain. I think about Brokeback Mountain a lot. I've edited Brokeback Mountain. I made a little edit of the girls. Because I love the girls. But, you know, I love Jake Gyllenhaal. That's the Swifties trying to kill me. But, you know, I love Jake Gyllenhaal. I love Heath Ledger. And I love this movie a lot. I gave it 5 stars. After Brokeback Mountain, I watched Roadhouse. This was just like a fun time. I gave this 3.5 stars, which is high, extremely so, for this kinds of movies, but like, it was fun, you guys. Like, I don't care if the original was better. I didn't even know there was an original at all. I don't care. You see shredded Jake Gyllenhaal, and you're gonna go, ew! Like, huh? Anyway. I watched Zodiac after that. And I loved Zodiac. I loved him a lot. I love Zodiac. And his scene where he goes, nobody calls me that. He's so cute. And of course this movie is really good. And then I watched Nightcrawler. And something about this movie, I watched this during school, while I was at school, which is a crazy choice. I specifically remember finishing this movie while I was in my AP US history class. Wow. I love this movie a lot. I would honestly give this movie a higher rating because I only gave it 4 stars? No. I would give this movie 5 stars. And I know that's crazy, but I think about this movie so much. I love this movie. I love this movie so much. I feel like genuinely it's such an underrated gem. I know Jake Gyllenhaal is like a super famous actor. He gets a whole bunch of like big movies. I still feel that he's underrated. And then May, which is my birth month. I'm a Taurus. The first movie I watched was Nocturnal Animals, which does have Jake Gyllenhaal in it. But this movie's ass. I hated this movie. I had no idea what was going on. I didn't care. I didn't want to care, quite frankly. And I gave it 3 stars, which is a little high. I would probably bring it lower. I would. And then I watched Brokeback Mountain again. I watch this movie a lot, okay? Like, I love this movie so much. And then Black Swan, I gave it 4 stars. I really relate as someone who has a very volatile relationship with their mother. But it was not, like, mind-blowing, in my opinion. But I think that's because I went into it already knowing, like, all the major plot points. Unfortunately, I feel like if I was chronically offline and I watched this movie, I would have been like, whoa! But I'm not, so that's unfortunate. And then I watched 500 Days of Summer. And you're looking at me and you're looking at my 4 favorite movies and you're going, you would love this movie. And I thought so too. I really did. But then I watched this movie and I was like, holy shit. These people are insufferable. Like, I cannot even, like, fathom continuing this movie for another hour. I did, of course. But I was like, huh? Like, oh, wow. This movie's... I'm not a fan of this movie. And then I gave it 3 stars, which is gonna blow your mind when you find out the next movie I watched and also gave 3 stars. I watched Highway. And if you don't know Highway, I don't blame you because it came out in 2004 and it's Jared Leto and Jake Gyllenhaal together. Number 1, I hate Jared Leto. I didn't know that Jared Leto was in this movie. He looks so fucking different. Thank God for that because it made it a slightly bit more bearable. And number 2, this movie fucking sucks. This movie is ass. I did give this movie also 3 stars. I'm sorry about it. I'm sorry. But a truth speaker needs to speak their truth. This movie, I had fun. I had fun with it. And, you know, Jake Gyllenhaal just plays, like, the biggest cutie pie in this movie in the whole wide world. And I loved him so much in this movie. After Highway, I saw Challengers in the movie theater. Whoa! I love this movie. I'm in awe that it did not get a single nomination at the Oscars. In fact, I would go as far to say that I'm in disbelief. That's crazy. That fucking movie, that one movie, you know what I'm talking about if you're a film lover. If you've seen any film ever, you know what I'm talking about. That movie getting 13 plus nominations and Challengers not getting 1? Huh? That's crazy. That's insane. Okay, moving on. The next movie I watched with my dad also in theaters, was The Fall Guy. Wow. This movie was actually surprisingly really good. It did have Taylor Swift songs about Jake Gyllenhaal in it. Not to make it about my man. But, you know, I just like, wow. Like, this movie was really good. And I do stand by my Letterboxd review. I do believe that this could be the Deadpool of the 2020s if we didn't let it flop. However, we did. And we failed. We failed because this movie is, like, phenomenally better than Deadpool. This movie, like, has the even better Ryan in it ever. Like, I love Ryan Gosling. Like, he seems like such a genuine guy. Which people said about Ryan Reynolds for, like, 3 years or, like, 5 years. How long has it been since 2016? Since however long that's been. And, like, I just fucking can't stand Ryan Reynolds. He's so fucking annoying. Anyways, after that, I gave Challengers 4.5 stars, and I gave The Fall Guy 4 stars, and also I watched Bottoms, and I also gave that 4 stars. I probably would bring that score down lower, because I felt really pressured to like give it 4 stars because like everyone loves this movie and I thought it was just okay. After Bottoms, I watched Turtles All the Way Down. I also gave this 4 stars. I also would take this lower, but I am saying that if I found out that my friend was talking shit about me through Star Wars fanfiction, I would lose it. And if our argument between that made me get in a car wreck with the car that my dad gifted me and then my dad died, I would have never spoke to anyone ever again, to be frank. But you know, that the OCD representation was generally like really good and really accurate to like what actual OCD is, not just like, oh, I'm a little bit of a clean freak. Not saying there's not OCD types like that. I'm just saying like as a general, that's not what OCD typically is. And I would say like the typical OCD experience is more closer to Turtles All the Way Down than it is to, oh, I'm just a clean freak. And then the last movie I watched of May was As You Are. This movie was fine. I, again, would have brought it down to 3 stars. I gave it 3.5, but people always talk about how this is, like, an underrated gem. I don't agree. This movie, like, low-key, like, sucks. Like, it sucks. Like, wow. It doesn't suck. It does not. It's just not phenomenal. And I'm going into this expecting it to be phenomenal, and it just wasn't. And then we're moving on to June. I only watched 5 movies that month. I don't know what was happening. But I watched Brokeback Mountain again, because I love this movie. And then I watched Smile. I thought Smile was fine. Smile 2 had like a really big promo right after I finished watching this. And I was kind of surprised. But the ending just kind of kills it for me. Like, I gave it 3.5 stars, but it's a very run-of-the-mill horror. Like, it's not horrible, but it's not, like, the best thing in the world either. And then I watched Kill Bill, Volume 1. Usually, I'm going to preface this by saying I didn't watch Volume 2. Usually, I do. Usually I watch Volume 1 and Volume 2 together, like, at the same time. Not at the same time, but, like, one after another, like, directly. But I watched this with my mom and my stepdad, and they don't watch movies like that, which I think is really weird. Like, I feel like you should watch Kill Bill Volume 1 and Volume 2 directly after. But, anyways, I have seen Kill Bill, like, a multitude of times, so this was not anything new to me, so I wasn't, like, missing out on, like, some super uber important stuff that I just didn't know about. But this is, like, the first time I've watched it in, like, a handful of years. I gave it 4.5 stars. It's really good. It's a really good movie, and I love it. I love Uma Thurman. I love her. And then after Kill Bill, I watched Inside Out, which I also gave 4.5 stars, because it was really good, and I love this movie, and I think it's, like, really representative of what it feels like to be, like, 12 years old. Being 12 sucks. Like, it sucks, like, really bad. And then I watched 10 Things I Hate About You. 10 Things I Hated About this movie. It was not my favorite. I gave it 4 stars, because, like, I can recognize that it's a good movie. I just, like, was, like, it's so 90s. Like, it's so 90s. Like, the flashing the teacher bit was disturbing at the very least. And, you know, just, like, not a huge fan of that. And also, I'm just, like, she just forgave him so quickly. I was like, what? Girl, stand your ground. Stand up. And I felt like it was way too long, which is crazy because it was probably only, like, 90 minutes long. But as it goes, as it goes. And then July was my biggest month, because in July I went to my dad's, and our love language is, like, watching movies with each other. So that's what we do. So the first movie in July I watched, Summer of '85. I gave this 3.5 stars. I would probably bring it down to 3. I don't think about it often at all. I only think about it when I'm going through my stories on Instagram, and I see the story that I posted while I was watching the movie, and it was quoting the movie, and it was like, character A goes, I don't have a bike, and character B goes, I do, I'll take you on 1,000 journeys. That's crazy. That's crazy. And for him to say that and for him to do what he did later on in the movie is absolutely insane. And me personally, I would have lost it as well. And then I watched The Outsiders, and I'm going to preface this by saying that I love The Outsiders book. That was my favorite book for like a really long time. And I read that book like willingly. Like I read it because I wanted to read it, not because it was a school assignment. I didn't even get to read it in school, which is really upsetting to me. And I watched this movie for the first time in July of 2024. And I said, this shit sucks ass. Why does Dali not have blonde hair? Why does Soda Pop not have red hair? Why does he not have his sideburns? Who are any of these people? I don't know what any of I really truly do believe that the only good castings in that movie were Johnny and Ponyboy, and I feel like that really kills the movie for me. You can't tell who's who in the movie. They all look the same. And then I went to my dad's, and you can always tell when I go to my dad's because we always watch The Poet Society together, and that's my favorite movie. And I'm not gonna talk that much about it because if I did, I would be here for a whole nother hour. But I give it 5 stars always. Every time I watch. I love this movie so much. I love it. I love it. I love Ethan Hawke. I love her. I love Robert Sean Leonard. And every time I'm depressed, I watch the Dead Poets in NYC video, and I'm like, wow, I'll never experience this. Anyways, I gave this movie 5 stars. And then the movie I watched after that was The Beekeeper. Oh my god. It's just like an action flick. I gave it 2.5 stars, and every time I think about this movie, I think about the Letterboxd review that said, this is like kind of like the movie that you would see in the background of a movie. And I'm like, you're so true. The movie we watched after that was Saltburn. I did force my father to watch Saltburn with me. And you know what he says? He says, well, that was interesting. Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah. And I love this movie. I love this movie a lot. I have a whole freaking video defending this movie. I do not suggest you watch it because, like, low-key, it kind of sucks. But, like, if you want to see pretty fire art of Barry Keoghan, feel free. I'm not going to stop you. But, you know, 4.5 stars. And then the movie we watched, after that was Scent of a Woman. Wow, what a good movie. Like, my dad, I love my dad. God bless him. I love him. He introduces me to all these movies that I've never heard of before a day in my life, and I'm, like, in love with them. Like, a lot. Like, I love this movie. This movie was so holy moly. Do you know? Like, the tango scene, like, teardrops slid down my eye. I love this movie. I gave it 4.5 stars. And then the movie after that was Megamind. And I love Megamind. It was one of my favorite movies as a kid. I love Megamind. And my dad had never seen it before. So I forced him to watch it. And you know what he did? He stayed on his phone and watched football the whole time. No! Papa! Please, please, you have to watch this movie. I love this movie. 5 stars. The movie we watched after that was Beetlejuice. Now, don't get me wrong. This movie was good. This movie was okay. But everyone talks about it, and they're like, holy moly, this movie is the best movie to ever grace this planet Earth. And I don't agree. This movie is good, okay? Don't get me wrong. I give this movie 4 stars. But it's just not what I was expecting. I was truly, honestly expecting more. And I didn't get more. I just got... That's all I got. That's all I got. And then the movie we watched after that is called The Dark City. This is a Film Bro movie. I'm honestly surprised it's not in, like, the Film Bro conversation constantly. This is, like a Film Bro movie. I gave it 3 stars. I was not the biggest fan. Like, I can appreciate the fact that it's a good movie. I just didn't care. Like, I was not interested. I did not want to... This movie is really long. And it starts out extremely strong. I love the way it starts out. I love the first third and the second third. But the last third of the movie... Holy. That ending fight was something. I'll tell you. We watched The Sixth Sense. This was my first time watching The Sixth Sense, and let me tell you, going into the movie, knowing the plot twist, and still being surprised by the plot twist is a feat. But but it accomplished that, and I love that movie. I love that plot twist. I made my friend watch it, and she gets the plot twist before it even like got even like close to like referencing it. But whatever. She's just smart like that, and and I gave this movie 5 stars. After The Sixth Sense, we watched Reservoir Dogs. Let me tell you something. This movie filled with the most insufferable, arrogant, immature assholes. And I hated all of them. But you want to know who I hated most? Mr. Pink. And I take a personality test because obviously I'm like desperate to know what other people think about me. So I take a personality test. And it's like one of those where just like where you take a test and it gives you all of these characters that you are similar to, like all of them, like a whole bunch. And you know, I look up Reservoir Dogs because I had just watched it, and you know who I see as my top related character for the Reservoir Dogs? Mr. Pink. Huh? I tip. Okay, I tip when I can. I have $20 in my bank account and I would still tip a waiter. I really would. So to say that I'm like Mr. Pink, freak you. That was really upsetting. But overall, this movie was good. 3 overall. I would recommend it if you like Quentin Tarantino, if you've never seen this movie. After that, we watched Saw. This is my first time watching Saw, and I really loved it. I love Adam. Like, he's so, like, such a, like, pathetic loser. And I really admire that about him. And I gave this movie 4 stars. And then the movie we watched after this was Hellraiser. Now, I'm not gonna say anything negative. Except for the fact that I gave this movie 1.5 stars. That's the lowest I've ever given a movie that isn't Poor Things. And I'm very easily entertained. Like, I could probably watch paint dry and be entertained. But this movie had a very special way of grinding my gears. I hated this movie. I hated it. Not once did I see a single scene of this movie and go, this is enjoyable. Not once did that happen to me at all. And then the movie we watched after that was Waterboy. I also hated this movie. This movie made me really sad, which is not like sad in like it accomplishes what it's achieving. This movie is a comedy. It doesn't feel like it because they're just making fun of Adam Sandler's character who is disabled of some sort. He's like mentally slow or something. I don't remember exactly, but I was just sad because I was watching all these people just like make fun of him for no reason. But I gave it 2 stars because there was like at least one scene where I laughed and had fun. There was one scene in there. And then I watched Saw 2, and people seem to like really, in the Saw fandom, they hate this movie for some reason. And I'm kind of just like, this is like if Big Brother was like evil. Like Big Brother is bad, but like what if it was evil? Saw 2. Like, do you know? The last movie I watched with my dad was Ready Player One. I gave this movie 3.5 stars. Would not rate that the same. This movie was incredibly boring, and from what I've heard, the main love interest in real life in the book, because it's based off a book, is on the bigger side, and in the movie she's not. And I feel like that kind of takes away from the whole point of what it's trying to say. But what do I know? I never read the book. The next movie I watched that month was Pitch Perfect 2. That's because Pitch Perfect 1, you had to buy it, and Pitch Perfect 2 was for free. I did karaoke to this movie, Half Asleep, which is a really fun, actually. If you've not done it, you should. For all 3 stars, this one's the one with the Germans, and I love the Germans, and I love the German guy, and he's like, this is a stupid game, and I'm like, I agree, man. Doing a British accent because I can't do a German accent. The movie I watched after that was Longlegs. I watched this in theaters also. You know what? This movie, like, low-key was really promoted to be, like, this really big, huge, like, genuinely terrifying movie. And you know what I did? I wasn't scared once. This movie, like, it's, like, good. But, like, compared to, like, how it was promoted, it just fell so flat. Overall, I gave it 3 stars because, like, it's not a bad movie. But if you're going to promote it as scarily as Longlegs was promoted, and then it's just gonna be like an average thriller with like mystical elements to it. It's like have a little more fun. And then in August, this was when I was moving into my college dorm, so I didn't get to watch as many movies. I still watched quite a bit, considering. But the first movie I watched was X-Men First Class. And if you know anything about me, you know that I love X-Men First Class. This is actually my favorite superhero movie of all time. I love Magneto. I love Magneto so much, man. I love him. And I just like James McAvoy. Like, who doesn't like James McAvoy, bro? And then, so, as we all know, 5 stars. And then, you know, I watched X-Men. I gave this 4.5 stars. So chuggy. So ahead of its time. Like, I love this movie, like, quite a bit. It's really good. I grew up with the X-Men series. And I just, like, wow, this is really good. Like, I miss watching, like, I miss having good superhero movies. And then I took a little break from the X-Men and I watched Pearl. I don't remember why I watched Pearl. Like, that's, like, kind of like an odd jump to me. But I did. And I love Pearl. That's my favorite movie in the X trilogy, I guess. I don't know what the name is. The Ty West trilogy. Pearl is my favorite. I think X is good. And I think Maxine was horrible. But, you know, Pearl... Me too. That's exactly how I would react. And I gave it 5 stars. And then I watched X2. I did not watch this movie as much as I watched the other ones. There's also another movie. But you'll see in 2 movies. X2 was very good. I don't really remember as much about this movie as I do the other ones, just because like I didn't watch this one as much as I watched the other ones. But it was very good. I also gave it 4.5 stars. And then I watched X-Men Last Stand. People hate this movie, and that's totally valid. I understand, because this movie sucks. But I gave it 4 stars, because I will be nostalgia baited, and I will be X-Men baited. And I loved this movie as a kid. And I loved it growing up, and I loved it. And I still do. And then I watched X-Men Days of Future Past. This one was crazy, because I actually did not watch X-Men Days of Future Past as much as I watched the others. This and X2 were like my least watched movies. I don't know why, because X-Men Days of Future Past is so phenomenal. It's so good. Like, I loved this movie. I gave it 5 stars because it deserves 5 stars. I think it's the highest rated X-Men movie, but I could be wrong. And then I watched X-Men Apocalypse, and well, yes, I was nostalgia baited and X-Men baited, but also, like, did I have fun? Not really. I gave it 3.5 stars, which is still like phenomenally high compared to like everyone else's ratings for it, but like that's like pretty low for my ratings of the X-Men trilogies, as you just heard. But it's like what was even happening? How do you make Oscar Isaac ugly? Like, that's crazy. That's a feat. And they accomplished it. And then the next movie I watched was X-Men Far From Home. I mean, not X-Men, sorry. Spider-Man Far From Home. I don't really like this movie that much, but the scene with Jake Gyllenhaal where he's like making Spider-Man hallucinate, and like him like, no, whatever. You know which scene I'm talking about if you've seen this movie. I thought that was really, like, phenomenal. I love that scene. Overall, I gave it 3 stars. And then I watched Trolls Band Together, and I love Trolls. I love the Trolls series. I love Trolls so much, and I really like this movie. I really appreciate that Red Velvet was in it, and overall, I gave it 4.5 stars. I would have given it 5 stars if it wasn't for Amy Schumer. September, I started out with The Parent Trap. This is my first time watching it. I thought it was fine. I did not really like it that much. I gave it 4 stars because I was feeling generous that day. Overall, I would give it like 3. I really still don't know how they did what they did. I'm sure there's videos on it. I don't care enough to like actually like dedicate time to finding out how they did it. But that was pretty cool. They were just so unnecessarily mean. And I understand they were trying to get their parents back together. But it's not happening. I'm pretty sure it did happen. But it shouldn't have, because that's crazy. Oh my god. I totally forgot about this movie. I watched 16 Candles. Was outside of Poor Things. Was my lowest rated movie with a 1 star. This movie is awful. I hated this movie. It's just rape culture and racism. And people love this movie. They call this movie a classic. But like, it's not even like a Heather's classic where they're like bad people, so they're like allowed to like say bad things. No, these people are like, you're like supposed to be rooting for them. What? Like, what? I'm not gonna get into it because I will be here for years. But it's a horrible movie. It's a horrible movie. Let me chill out. And then I watched Mysterious Skin again. And I watched this with my friend, actually, because she was wanting to watch it. She thought it was interesting. I also watched 16 Candles with my friend because that was something that she had wanted to watch. But, you know, Mysterious Skin, 5 stars. Nothing to say that I haven't already said. And then I watched The Sixth Sense again. I showed it to her. She guessed it like halfway through. 5 stars again because it's a good movie. Still in awe that he sighed 11 times in one scene. That's insane. And then Saltburn because I was like, I don't know why. I was looking through the Letterboxd replies and everyone was just like, wow, this movie sucks. The classic critique is horrible. So I like rewatched it just because I love this movie. And like, they're just losers, actually, is what I've come to the conclusion of. I watched Watching the Detectives for the first time, and let me tell you something, I love Lucy Liu. I love Lucy Liu. And Cillian Murphy is great too. And, like, just seeing them together, like, holy power couple. They should have been together in real life if they weren't, because they're a beautiful couple. And I give this movie 5 stars, and he's literally me. Like, that's literally me, bro. And then the last movie I watched in September was Saved. I didn't really like this movie very much. It, like, kind of has, like, But I'm a Cheerleader vibes, but, like, worse. So, October's a great month. I love October. I love October. My first movie of the month was Scooby-Doo Zombie Island because they finally added it to HBO at that time. And this is my favorite Scooby-Doo movie ever. It was, again, one of my favorite movies as a kid. And, wow. I just forget about how good it is. I rewatch it constantly. That's not true. I watched it a lot as a child. Like, I really love this movie. 5 stars. If it's anything less than 5 stars, you're wrong. And then I watched Pretty Woman for the first time. It was very good. I really like this movie. I love fake dating. That's one of my favorite tropes. And overall, I gave this 4 stars. And then I watched the Scooby-Doo live action again. One of my favorite. I love Scooby-Doo. I love Scooby-Doo. Again, something I watched a lot as a child. I gave it 5 stars because that's what it deserves. We need to see the adult cut because we need to see lesbians. We need to see them as lesbians. True. And then I watched Charlie Countryman. The fuck? Awful movie, number 1. Number 2, what was even happening? Number 3, Shia LaBeouf looks like that? I had no idea that Shia LaBeouf looked like that. I only watched it for Mads Mikkelsen, and he was in there for like 5 minutes. So that was that. 2.5 stars. Horrible. And then I watched Adam, which has Hugh Dancy in it. And if you know, you know. I watched Adam 2, which has Hugh Dancy in it. I love Hugh Dancy. Hated this movie. This movie fucking sucks. I hate his love interest. She's like an awful person. I don't hate her because she's a woman. I really don't. I hate her because she's a terrible person. She like yells at him and she calls him like pathetic and a child. And I'm like, what? You don't even use the Oxford comma. That's crazy. 2 stars. And then I watched Scream again. Like, I love Scream. That's my favorite slasher ever. I love Matthew Lillard. Obviously, like, I gave this 5 stars. I showed it to my friend who's never seen it before, and we had fun. And then we watched Maxine together. This fucking movie sucked ass, actually. I gave it 2.5 stars. Holy shit. This movie sucked. The first, like, 2/3 were, like, pretty decent, but, like, the last third, where did that even come from? Like, that was awful. Like, holy moly, bro. And then November, quite a short month. I only watched 6 movies. I watched, the first movie of November was Talk to Me. It was like Halloween weekend, went out, partied, like stayed with a group of friends of mine. We watched Talk to Me. It was pretty good. Very formulaic, I would say. Considering like how new and innovative it was to the genre, it was still extremely formulaic. You could guess like what would happen beat by beat. Still a good movie. I gave it 4 stars. And then we watched Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. And this movie, if you know anything about this movie, wow, shocking that this was like acceptable back in the day. The reason why we watched it is because it was my friend's mom's favorite movie. Not hating. I really enjoyed this movie. I did give it 2 stars. But that's not because it's like a bad movie. It's just like what happens in the movie is like horrible. Oh, I totally skipped over the fact that I watched Interview with the Vampire. I didn't rate this movie because I was too busy being like angry and stewing over the fact that Brad Pitt was in this and that he was really awful looking in this movie. And every time he like showed up on screen, I just got angry because he's so ugly in this movie. I watched Pretty Woman again. I don't know why. I guess I was just really craving that fake dating show. And again, 4 stars. And then I watched Election. I hate this movie. I gave this movie 2.5 stars. Like, actually awful. Like, actually, like, insufferable. Like, actually, wow. People love this movie. And then I watched Fresh. I showed this to my friend. We had fun. I love this movie. I love Daisy Edgar Jones. I love her. And you know what? I watched this movie before. It's not my first time watching this movie. 4 stars. Beautiful. Beautiful. And then I watched Abigail. Again, extremely formulaic. I think it's very difficult to do a horror movie and make it not formulaic. At least from what I've seen. I don't watch very many horror movies. But, it was a fun time. I did watch it with my friends on Thanksgiving break. But I gave it 2.5 stars because it's not good. Like, it's not a good movie at all. And then December, quite a bad month for me considering. I watched Deadpool and Wolverine, also one of my lowest ranked movies of the year. I hated this movie. I hated what they did to Wolverine as like a character. I hate that they just like brought him back just so he could be in the MCU, even though he had like a beautiful final in Logan. And I hated Deadpool. I hate Ryan Reynolds. I thought Channing Tatum was very good. The movie was like so like confused in itself. Like, it's awful. There's no chemistry. I'm sickened to see the rise of Wolverine x Deadpool when we all know that Spider-Man and Deadpool are superior and Wolverine and Cyclops is superior. We all know that. We all know that. We all know that as a true superhero movie fan. We are aware of the true shifts. And the fact that these people got their grubby little hands on Wolverine and Deadpool and said, yes, this is the ones. And they said, they had so much chemistry. No, they didn't. Deadpool is just insufferable and he doesn't know when to quit. So, I think I'm honestly just gonna have to put my Letterboxd review here because it explains like perfectly how I felt, because I was writing it as I was watching the movie, because I knew I was gonna hate this movie. And then I watched The Batman with Robert Pattinson. Every time I watch this movie, I'm like, wow, this could be an hour shorter. Yes. Don't get me wrong, I'm very excited for the second one. That's really loud. Give me 2 seconds. Okay, so I actually moved you because my computer was being very loud and very annoying. So there's that. But the movie, The Batman, I feel like every single time I watch this movie, I'm like, wow, this could be an hour shorter. And like this, I just feel like it's not a movie that you can watch outside of the movie theater. Like this, it's like insufferable outside of the movie theater, actually, I would say. Because in the movie theater, it goes very quickly. It really does, and it's very, very amazing. But like at home without surround sound, it's like, wow, what's even going on? Like, why? Like, what? Like, can we speed it up a bit? And then the Batman 2 got delayed, which was really upsetting. They keep delaying it. They keep delaying it. And I swear to you, I was a sophomore in high school when the Batman came out. I'm gonna be a sophomore in college when, wait, I don't remember when it comes out, but I'm gonna be in college when the second movie comes out, which is crazy. And also this movie has Barry Keoghan in it, and I didn't realize that until I really got into my Barry Keoghan phase. He's the Joker. And then the movie after that I watched was Requiem for a Dream. I really love this movie, and as much as I hate Jared Leto, I hate Jared Leto with my full heart. I can't even speak on it because like it like he just makes me so angry. What a great movie. Like, if you just ignore the fact that it's Jared Leto, like, wow, this movie is phenomenal. 5 stars. And you know what? I found out my dad worked in the psych hospital, or the psych ward, after watching this movie. And he talked to me about his experience working in the psych ward. And he really enjoyed it because he's an empath. And I love my dad. And I watched this movie with my dad, by the way. And I watched The Batman with my dad. And then we watched Knives Out. This is my first time watching Knives Out. I know it's like a million years old, but whatever. But I gave it 4.5 stars. Okay, sorry, my roommate was home and I didn't, it's kind of embarrassing to be talking to myself when she's here. But, so I watched Knives Out for the first time. I know that's kind of crazy because it's like a million years old, but I really enjoyed it, even though I knew the plot twist. I still thought it was like really good. I don't really know how she got away with everything that she did. That's kind of crazy. But, you know, it's a movie. I gave it 4.5 stars because I really did enjoy it, and Glass Onion is on my watch list for 2025. And then the last movie I watched, paid attention to in 2024 was Murder on the Oriental Express. This movie's like a good background movie, even though I did put my full attention into it. But, you know, I gave it 3 stars. It's not the most worst, awful, horrible thing I've ever seen. It's pretty decent. It does have Johnny Depp in it though. God, I didn't know he was in this movie, and I saw him and I jumped back and I said ugh, out loud, in front of people. That was really embarrassing. It was pretty decent. 3 stars. And then the sequel, or not the sequel, yeah, the second movie to this movie, the series, was the one with Gal Gadot. I hate Gal Gadot. But I really was not paying attention to the movie except for when she got murdered. And then also, I don't know why I don't have it on here, but I definitely did watch Inside Out 2. I remember because I'm like, there's no way people thought that Disney was actually gonna make her gay. Not because I hate gay people, but because Disney does. So, I actually watched a total of 106 movies this year. I knew I watched Inside Out 2 during Memorial weekend because I went home because we had a 3-day weekend. But I have no idea the exact date. So, whenever Memorial weekend is, I watched that. I don't remember what I gave it. I probably gave it 3.5 stars or something. I'll put it here because I know I recorded it, but I made this list literally in 2024. I made it end of November, so whatever. But yeah, that was all the movies I watched in 2024. Thank you for watching. It's been quite a journey as I'm looking at now at the timer. It says 1:10. 1 hour and 10 minutes, and I did record a small snippet video before this one, so I have no idea how long this is gonna be. In total, I'm sure I'm gonna edit a couple of long pauses out, but I don't think it's gonna dent the video that drastically. It never really does. But thank you so much for watching. I will time this video. I'll put the time stamps, the time codes and the comments. So hopefully this time the comments stay open. I don't know what that's about. Sometimes they just close and then they reopen eventually, but I don't want that to happen because I want like people who watch this to be like giving me their opinions on my opinions. Possibly, if that's something that you want to do. But I hope you liked this video. I know it probably came out in February, but better late than never, I suppose. And I will be doing a video like this, but with books, and maybe even a video of my 2024, no, wrong year, of my 2025 watch list, if that is something you guys would be interested in. I probably make it anyways because I love to yap, and if you love watching me yap, feel free to hit the subscribe button and the like button so you can like see more of my content. Make sure you hit the bell too. Okay, bye for real now. Thank you so